What would you do if the person who promised to love you forever was secretly destroying everything you built together, not slowly, not accidentally, but deliberately with a plan? And a smile on their face. That is exactly what happened to Sarah and David Chen, two ordinary people who trusted each other with everything, their money, their future, their dreams. And one of them used that trust as a weapon. This is their story, and by the end, you will understand why the worst betrayal of their lives became the greatest gift they ever received. Sarah grew up in a small apartment in Chicago. Her parents worked 2 jobs each, every single day, just to keep the lights on. She watched her mother count coins at the kitchen table. She watched her father skip meals so the children could eat. And she made herself a promise at the age of 12. I will never live like this. I will build something different, something that cannot be taken away. Background: David grew up in Portland. His family was comfortable, not rich, but stable. His father owned a small hardware store. His mother was a school teacher. They taught him the value of hard work, of honesty, of showing up every single day, no matter what. Sarah and David met in college. She was studying accounting. He was studying business management. They sat next to each other in a finance class. He borrowed her notes. She pretended to be annoyed. But she was not annoyed at all. 6 months later, they were inseparable. 3 years after graduation, David got down on one knee, and Sarah said yes before he could finish the question. Their wedding was small. 50 people in a park. Homemade food, a borrowed car, but it was the happiest day of their lives. They had nothing, but they had each other, and they had a plan. The plan was simple: live small, save hard, invest wisely, build slowly. One rule: save 30% of everything we earn. No exceptions, no excuses. Sarah took a job at an accounting firm. David started working at a logistics company. Together, they made $68,000 a year. Not a lot, but enough. The progress: year 1, they saved $20,000. Year 2, they saved $22,000. Year 3, they bought their first investment property, $800 a month in passive income. Sarah was 29. David was 30. They were on their way. The promotion: year 4 was when everything changed. David got a promotion, regional manager. His salary jumped to $75,000 a year. He started traveling for work, 2 weeks every month, sometimes 3. Sarah understood. She was proud of him. She kept managing the finances, tracking every dollar, paying the mortgage, building their investments. She trusted him completely. The secret begins: what Sarah did not know was that David had opened a second bank account, 6 months after his promotion, in his name only. He told himself it was for emergencies. He told himself it was just a small personal fund. He told himself he would tell Sarah eventually, but eventually never came. The betrayal: by the end of year 5, David had quietly moved $43,000 into his secret account. He was spending it on things Sarah never saw: expensive dinners, weekend trips, a secret wardrobe, and something else. Something that would break Sarah's world in half. She found out on a Tuesday morning. She was reviewing their joint account. Routine check, but this time, a transfer caught her eye: $3,000 to an account she did not recognize. She called the bank, no information. She called David. He did not answer. She called again and again. He finally called back at noon. His voice was strange, flat. He said, "Sarah, we need to talk." And in those 4 words, she heard everything. The truth: David had been living a double life for 2 years. There was another woman, there was another apartment. David had been paying rent on it, from their savings, from the money Sarah had carefully built. Sarah did not scream, she did not cry, not yet. She sat very still at the kitchen table. And she said 6 words: "How much of our money is gone?" The answer was devastating. $61,000 gone, their emergency fund, their investment contributions, their rental property income, all of it. Moved quietly, spent secretly. While Sarah worked overtime, while Sarah skipped vacations, while Sarah trusted him with everything. The divorce took 8 months. 8 of the hardest months of Sarah's life. David hired an expensive lawyer. Sarah could not afford one. She represented herself. She stayed up until 2 in the morning, reading legal documents, learning what she was entitled to, fighting for what she had built. The judge awarded her right arrow the investment property, right arrow remaining joint savings, right arrow $12,000, right arrow legal fees from David. She walked out of that courthouse with $34,000 total and a damaged credit score. She was 33 years old, starting completely over. The first night in her new apartment, Sarah sat on the floor, no furniture, just a sleeping bag and her laptop. She opened a spreadsheet and typed one line at the top. Day 1. She cried that night for a long time, for the marriage she thought she had, for the future that was stolen, for the $61,000 she would never get back. She let herself cry for exactly one night. The decision, and then she made a decision. She was not going to let David Chen define the rest of her life. She would build something so solid, so unshakable, that no person on earth could ever take it from her again. 4 decisions. Sarah made 4 decisions that changed everything. She followed them every single day, and they rebuilt her entire life. Decision number 1, protect what I have left. She took the $34,000 and put it into a high-yield savings account. Untouchable, emergency fund only. Rule, nothing comes out of this account unless I am in a medical emergency or lose my job. Nothing. Decision number 2, fix the damage David left behind. Her credit score had dropped to 580. Because of credit cards David had opened in both their names and never paid. She called every creditor. She negotiated settlements. She set up payment plans. It took 14 months, but by the end, her credit score was 742, higher than it had ever been in her marriage. Number 3, grow her income aggressively. Sarah was making $52,000 at the firm, not enough. She started freelance bookkeeping on weekends. Small businesses, startups, local restaurants. Within 6 months, 12 clients, $3,000 month extra income. She saved every single dollar. Decision number 4, never stop investing, even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. She invested $500 every single month into index funds, into her retirement account, into her future. She told herself every month, this is for the woman I am becoming, not the woman he tried to destroy. The rebuild 2 years after the divorce, Sarah bought her second investment property, a small condo. Rental income, $1,400 a month. She was 35 years old, and she was just getting started. Year 3 after divorce, her firm offered her a senior position. Salary, $88,000. She negotiated. She got $94,000. Total income that year with rentals and freelance, $140,000. And it was in year 3 that she met James. James was a client, small business owner. He came to her for tax advice. He was quiet, steady, honest in a way that Sarah had forgotten people could be. He showed her his books on their first meeting, every transaction, every account, nothing hidden. Sarah noticed immediately. They became friends first for almost a year. Sarah was not ready for anything more. James understood. He never pushed. He just showed up consistently, reliably, the way David never had. When Sarah told James about the betrayal, about the $61,000, about the secret apartment, James listened for 2 hours. He did not try to fix it. He did not minimize it. He just said, I am so sorry that happened to you. You deserved better, and you still do. They started dating slowly, carefully. Sarah set one rule from the beginning: full financial transparency, always. No exceptions. James agreed immediately. I would not want it any other way. The Freedom Plan. Together they created what they called their Freedom Plan, 3 rules they would never break. Freedom Rule 1, full transparency always, every account, every transaction open to both of them, always. Freedom Rule 2, pay yourself first, before any expense. 25% of every dollar goes to savings and investments, non-negotiable. Freedom Rule 3, 1 new investment every 18 months. Property, business, or market investment, always growing. Never standing still. Year 6, third rental property, a duplex, 2 units, $2,200 month rental income. Year 7, James expanded his business, hired 4 employees, revenue $320,000. Year 8, Sarah left the firm, started her own financial consulting practice. Within 12 months, 30 clients. Income $160,000. Year 9, fourth property, a small commercial space. $3,000 month passive income, completely passive, where they are today. Sarah is 42 years old, James is 45. Their combined net worth, $2,300,000, $2.3 million. Their rental properties generate $8,400 every single month. Their investment portfolio, just under $900,000. Their businesses bring in over $450,000 a year. They work because they want to, not because they have to. Last year, Sarah ran into someone who knew David. He had struggled financially after the divorce. The relationship he had destroyed their marriage for had ended badly. He was still starting over. Sarah felt nothing, not anger, not satisfaction, nothing, because David Chen was not part of her story anymore. He was just the storm that came before the sunrise. The message I want to speak to you directly right now. Maybe you have been betrayed. Maybe someone took something from you, your money, your trust, your future. Maybe you are sitting somewhere right now, feeling like the life you planned has been completely destroyed. I need you to hear this. The betrayal is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of the real one. Sarah did not need David to succeed. She needed one night to grieve, and one morning to start. She needed 4 decisions, and the discipline to follow them every single day. You have access to the same 4 decisions right now, today. Decision 1, protect what you have. Decision 2, fix the damage, face it directly. Decision 3, grow your income. Find one more way, then another. Decision 4, never stop investing in your future, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. The person who betrayed you was counting on you to stay broken. Prove them wrong, not with words, with your life. If Sarah's story moved you today, do one thing. Share this video with one person who needs it.
Someone who is rebuilding, someone who was told their story was over. Tell them, it is just beginning. Thank you for being here. This is Grace Talk TV, where every story has the power to change a life. We will see you in the next one.